close your eyes. I'm serious. Actually close them. I know you're watching a screen right now and this sounds ridiculous, but I need you to do this for real, not as a metaphor, not as a cute thought exercise, as a computation. Your brain is about to run a calculation it's been dodging for months, and the result is going to land in your chest before it reaches your head. Eyes closed. Good. Picture yourself 5 years from today. It's a Wednesday. Morning. Your alarm goes off. What time is it? Is it the same alarm sound you heard this morning? Same phone on the same nightstand? Now you're getting up. Same bathroom. Same mirror. You look at your face. 5 years older. Now you're getting dressed. Same closet. Maybe a few new shirts. Same style, though. Now the commute. Same route. Same car, same seat on the same train. Same podcast you're half listening to because you've been half listening for years. You arrive at work. Same building. Same badge swipe. Same desk. Same login screen you could type in your sleep. Your phone buzzes. It's your bank, the monthly summary. Look at the number. Is it different from today's number? By how much? Be honest. After 5 years of the same structure, the same defaults, the same pattern on repeat, what did the number do? It went up a little. Inflation, maybe a raise. A number that is technically larger and functionally identical. Now it's 7 p.m. You're home. Same couch. And I want you to stay on the couch for a second, because there's a dent in the left cushion. Your dent, shaped exactly like the position you sit in every single evening. Same delivery app open, same scroll through the same restaurants. Same person sitting next to you, or the same absence of a person sitting next to you. Same feeling in your chest. Open your eyes. That fear you just felt, that tightening, that flash of something between nausea and panic that hit you somewhere behind your sternum. That wasn't anxiety. That wasn't pessimism. That wasn't your insecurities talking. That was the most accurate piece of data you've received in months. Your brain just ran a computation. 1,826 days of your current pattern, projected forward, rendered as a feeling because you refuse to run it as math. The fear is the answer. Your subconscious already solved the equation. It already knows where you're headed. You just finally looked. And now we're going to open that equation and see the variables, because the projection isn't a verdict. It's a draft. And drafts have inputs you can change. Here's the thing. Nobody tells you about that fear. It's not new. You didn't just feel it for the first time. You've been feeling it for weeks, maybe months, but your conscious mind keeps reclassifying it as something else. I want to give that feeling a mechanical name: projected stagnation recognition. Your brain has a forecasting engine, runs in the background all the time, the way your phone updates apps at 3 a.m. without asking. And the input it uses isn't your goals, isn't your vision board, isn't the version of your life you told your friends about at dinner last weekend. The input is your pattern. What you actually did today, what you actually did yesterday, the real Tuesday, the one where you woke up at the time you woke up, spent the hours the way you spent them, and went to bed having moved the needle on your life by exactly 0 measurable units. Your brain takes that pattern, multiplies it by 1,826, and delivers the output. But not as a spreadsheet, as a signal, an emotional signal, because you won't read the report. You keep closing that tab. So the brain pushes the data through the only channel you can't mute, your body. You know the signal. You just mislabeled it every time. The Sunday dread starts around 4 p.m. You're on the couch, half watching something, and this weight drops into your stomach out of nowhere. Before Monday has even shown up, you think it's about Monday. It's not. It's about the 260th Monday in the same pattern. Your brain isn't dreading tomorrow. It's dreading the repetition, the scrolling hollowness. You're watching someone move to another country, launch something, change their career. And you feel that specific emptiness that isn't jealousy, because you don't want their life. You want evidence. Evidence that trajectories can change, that patterns aren't permanent, You're scrolling looking for proof that someone broke the loop. The 11 p.m. ceiling stare. Body is tired, eyes won't close, one hand on the phone, thumb hovering over an app with nothing to check. You checked it 9 minutes ago. Nothing changed. You open it anyway. Not because there's something to see, because closing your eyes means another day completed inside the default. Another data point confirming the projection. You've been calling this anxiety. It's not. Anxiety is fear of the unknown. This is fear of the known. Your brain already did the math. You already know where you're headed. That's not anxiety. That's recognition. And recognition is the first step. Because you can't change a variable you won't look at. Okay, the projection is the most honest mirror you own. Let's actually read what's on the glass, because the mirror has variables. Change the variables, change the reflection. The fear was accurate, but it was compressed. Your brain crammed 1,826 days into a 2-second emotional flash. You felt the output without seeing the inputs. And you can't fix an output. You fix inputs. First tool, the default projection audit. We're decompressing the fear into the variables that produced it. Take out your phone. Open your screen time from last week. The weekly average. Look at the number. Mine was 4 hours and 12 minutes. Daily. I sat with that for maybe half a second before my brain tried to rationalize it. Well, some of that is work stuff. You know, the little negotiation your ego runs when the data is ugly. Then I did the math. 4 hours and 12 minutes times 365 times 5. 7,665 hours. Divided by 24. 319 full days. Gone. 319 days of my 5-year projection devoted to watching other people's outputs instead of changing my own inputs. I closed the app, sat there, opened it again. Because the number doesn't disappear just because you looked away. But screen time is one variable. The audit has 4 categories, and I need you to map your actual default weekday, not your best day. Your real Tuesday. Time defaults. Where do the hours go? Screen time tells part of it. But be honest with the dead zones, the 40-minute gaps between tasks where you took a quick break that ate the whole afternoon. Financial defaults, the recurring charges, the subscriptions you forgot, the delivery orders on autopilot, the money that leaves every month without a conscious decision. Add it up. Multiply by 60. That's your 5-year financial default. Relationship defaults. The 5 people you spend the most hours with in an average week. Not the 5 you'd list at a dinner party, the 5 your calendar would confirm. What direction are those 5 people moving? Your trajectory gets pulled toward the average of the trajectories you're embedded in. Skill defaults. What are you getting 1% better at every day without trying? Whatever you spend the most hours doing, you're compounding in that direction. If the honest answer is consuming content, the skill you're building is consumption, not creation. When the audit is in front of you, ugly and specific, you're looking at the equation your brain already solved. Those are the inputs. The fear was the output. It was never vague. It was precise. If you just ran that audit in your head and the number hit different, hit the like. For real. It tells me this conversation is landing and it takes 1 second. Now the only question that matters, which variables carry the most weight? Here's why most people who feel this fear do nothing about it. They see 47 things that need to change. So they try to change all 47. They set 12 goals. Download 4 apps, buy the planner, announce a new chapter on social media with a caption that took longer to write than any actual change took to implement. 6 weeks later, same defaults, same couch dent, and now a bonus layer of shame because they failed publicly with a planner that cost $34 and an accountability app still sending notifications they've been swiping away since February. You didn't fail because you lacked discipline. You failed because you treated a surgery problem like a renovation problem. You tried to renovate the entire house. What you needed was to operate on 2 or 3 load-bearing joints. Second tool, the variable isolation protocol. Take your audit results. Apply the removal test to each default. If I could only change this one variable, nothing else, for 365 days, would my 5-year projection look meaningfully different? Most variables fail. The 3 hours of screen time. Removing it opens time, but doesn't automatically fill it with something that compounds. The subscription stack? Saving $200 a month helps, but doesn't bend the trajectory into a different shape. The variables that pass are your hinge variables, where a single change cascades outward. Cascades. Your primary skill default, the thing you spend the most hours getting better at without realizing it. If the answer is consuming content, and you flip that to creating something, even 1 hour a day, even badly, even with no audience, the 5-year projection doesn't shift a little. It shifts categorically. The compound curve of creation and the compound curve of consumption diverge after year 2. Same hours, radically different output. That's a hinge. Or your relationship defaults. If the 5 people you spend the most time with are all inside the same pattern you're trying to break, same complaints, same "we should really do something" conversations that end at the bar every Friday, replacing one of those recurring relationships with one person who is actively building changes the informational environment your brain computes in. That's a hinge, 2 or 3. Not 47. Find the hinges. Ignore the rest. The projection recalculates from the hinges outward. Now, I'm not going to give you a 30-day challenge. I'm not going to tell you to set goals or create a vision board or start fresh on Monday. You know what all of those have in common? They're promises to your future self. And your brain's projection engine does not compute promises. It computes patterns. It looks at what you did today, not what you planned. And right now, the pattern hasn't changed, which means the projection hasn't changed, which means the fear you felt 10 minutes ago, still accurate. Third tool, the first deviation commit. Not a plan, a deviation. One structural break from the pattern within 24 hours that forces the engine to recalculate because the input changed. 3 criteria. All 3 or it doesn't count. Structural, not a one-time action, a change to a recurring default. I'll work out today is not a deviation. Canceling the streaming service and using that hour for the thing you keep saying you don't have time for, that's a deviation. Irreversible, or at least high friction to reverse. Deleting the app, not moving it to a different folder. Enrolling in the course and paying, not bookmarking it in a tab buried under 46 other good intentions. Telling someone out loud what you committed to, so the social cost of reversal is real. Targeted, a precision strike on one of the hinge variables. Not a random act of motivation. The specific joint that carries the most projection weight. Here's what happens the moment you execute. Your brain, the same engine that scared you, the same engine that's been sending you Sunday dread and ceiling stares and that hollow feeling when you scroll past someone who deviated, registers a pattern interrupt. Not an intention, not a plan written in a notebook that'll end up in a drawer. An actual structural change in the inputs. And the engine does what every engine does when the inputs change. It recalculates. The projection shifts, not like a movie montage, like a compass needle when you change direction by 2 degrees, barely visible now, and after 1,000 miles, you're in a completely different place. The fear wasn't a prison sentence. It was a draft. A live computation running on today's data. And drafts respond to edits, but only real edits. Structural, irreversible, targeted, not notes in the margin. Remember the Wednesday morning you pictured, the alarm, the commute, the login screen, the bank notification with a number that technically grew and functionally didn't, the 7 p.m. couch with your dent in the cushion. That's the current output, and right now, it's still accurate, because you haven't changed an input yet. You've seen the math, you've identified the hinges, but seeing is not doing. Here's what you do, not tonight, not Monday. In the next 60 seconds, pick the one default that, when you're honest with yourself, carries the most weight. The one that showed up first. The one your brain flagged before your excuses could intervene. Now do one thing that makes the old default harder to continue tomorrow. Delete the app. Send the enrollment email. Text the person you've been avoiding. Set the alarm for the time that scares you. Open the blank document and type the first sentence of the thing you've been thinking about starting for 11 months. Make it structural. Make it irreversible. Make it happen before you close this video. And when you do, when the pattern breaks at one load-bearing point, the fear changes, not vanishes, changes. Because the engine recalculates, and the output won't be identical to yesterday's. The Wednesday you picture won't be a copy of last Wednesday. One variable moved. The whole projection shifts, not because you overhauled your life, not because you became a different person overnight, because you moved one hinge. And hinges move doors. Close your eyes one more time. Picture 5 years, same Wednesday, same morning. But one input is different. Feel that? That tiny crack in the certainty that everything stays the same? The fear isn't your enemy. It's your engine, running on old data. Give it new data. It'll give you a new answer. Subscribe if this hits somewhere the motivational videos never reached. There's more coming. Not about how to feel better about the projection, but about how to change the variables the projection runs on.